Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Men's Winter Solstice Championship. Today is stage 6, and we have 45Ks to go. This is the second to last stage, and it's still anybody's race. In today's stage, we have our checkpoints back, or our segments back, of course. We have 5 1-kilometer segments, and then we're going to have 2 10-kilometer segments. So looking at the course elevation, we're starting up a little bit, and then we're going to go ahead and drop down. And in the middle section between segments 5 and 6, we're going to be relatively flat. Just before they start their second or their first 10-kilometer segment, and then they're starting to get up into the mountains where they're going to end today's stage at 737 meters. Definitely going to be an interesting stage today. So for the UAE Clan Team 1, we have Mr. X100 and Pablo Popovich. And for the UAE Falcons, we have Yusuf Mirza, Zaid Hamdan, and Hassan Al-Ramiti. And I apologize if I'm pronouncing your names wrong. For Team Alpha, we have Abu Saif, AZ20, Bu Amir, and Bu Diab. And for Team 71, we have Bu Ali, Bu Yasser, and Bu Mansour. For Octagon, we have Mohammed Salim, Hansur AD, and Hashim Al-Harbi. And for the team to beat Danish Pavlova so far, we have Michael Vink, Michael Kunsen, Jason Osborne, and William Buchmiller. And for Team Draft, we have Bruce Bird, Ryan Gugliano, Ross Fawcett, and Eddie Veal. And for Team NZ, we have Vitor Meal, Philip Graves, Mitch Ferry, and Juan David Vargas. And for Crank Boys, we have Lorex Cantoy, Archie Palakpak, and Giorgio Santos. And for Velo Squad, we have Julio Rego, Tom Harvey, and Maxime Perard. For our individuals, the only 2 individuals left, it's going to be Christoph Taim and Thor Persk. So now we're just inside a minute to go, and this is going to be a very fast stage, I feel, today. Of course, we have Jason Osborne, who's still in the lead for Danish Pavlova. And in second in the overall standings is his teammate, Michael Vink. And then in third place, it's going to be for Team Draft, Bruce Bird, followed by Mr. X100. And like we've been seeing this whole series so far for the Winter Solstice Championship is Mr. X100 and Bruce Bird really battling it out to try to get into that third place position. And I think we're going to see that a lot more today. And of course, behind Mr. X100, we have Michael Kunsen and Pablo Popovich, also riding for UAE Clan Team, with Philip Graves and Vidar Mill right there in 7th and 8th place for Team NZ. 9th place, William from Germany for Danish Pavlova. And then rounding out the top 10 so far in our overall standings is Ross Fawcett with Team Draft. I think today is going to be a really interesting stage to watch. Just under 30 seconds to go now. Guys are still warming up a little bit. And we'll see who's going to take the first breakaway rolling into segment number 1. And now they are all off. Strong Watts right out the gate. Leading the pack, Mitch Ferry, followed by Pablo Popovich. But the pack is quickly sucking them up. They're all pushing over 400 watts here at 44 kilometers per hour, getting up into the 50 zone, pretty sure. You have AZ20 up in the mix, Hashim, Pablo Popovich, Jason Osborne, of course. He's going to need to sit up in this pack and maintain his position. I don't really have to tell him what to do. He has been shown to be a master of his class so far during the whole Winter Solstice Championship. And up at the front, you can see a lot of good mix of the teams. We have Team Draft up there, NZ, Pavlova, and of course the UAE clan team. They have started this segment number 6 off to a really good start so far. So now back at the front of the race, you can see everybody's kind of jockeying for position, all trying to stay within the pack, watching each other's data on the right side of the screen, making sure everybody's on the same course. Definitely don't want to get dropped out of the race today. Like I said, I feel today's stage is going to be very fast. It's the second to last stage, and this is where a lot of people really need to make some moves and get some good points for their overall classification. Of those two, it's going to be this guy that we're watching now, Mr. X100, and Bruce Bird. I think they are going to be battling it out today for that third place in the overall standings. So far, Bruce Bird is ahead of Mr. X100. But we're only 1.8 kilometers in, and it's a 45-kilometer stage today, of course. So there's a lot of time, and a lot of things can happen within that. So soon now we're going to be approaching the first segment of the day, starting off at kilometer number 3. So they're just about 800 meters away from the first segment. And with these short little punchy segments, it's going to be interesting to see who goes off the front, see if anybody makes any major attacks to try to claim the first segment victory of the day. And here we go, getting ready to start segment 1. Everybody cranking it up now. Pablo Popovich up there for UAE clan team. Julio's up there. Tom Harvey. Julio cranking out over 930 watts at one point there, 60 kilometers per hour. This is a relatively flat down section, slight downhill section, so that is working to his advantage. Looks like he slowed off the power there for a second. And he's just been caught and passed by AZ20, who's on a massive attack as well. AZ20 really, really wants this stage victory, or this segment victory. He's still pushing in the high 600s. He has not let off a single bit. Now with just 400 meters to go. And Thor from Germany, he is on the closing in, as well as Tom Harvey from the UAE. This is going to be a really interesting segment to see who claims the victory. So far from the efforts, though, I do think it'll be AZ20 at the top of the charts. I think the other two guys may have started a little too late up on their attack. But Thor's closing in. Look at that, closing in on AZ20 as they're coming down to the line. It will be AZ20 who crosses the line first and Thor second, but it really matters about the times. So as the rest of the pack rolls through here, we'll see what happens up on our timing screen. Look at that. Thor Purse, he actually takes it with a time of 1 minute and 8 seconds. With 1 second back is Eddie Veal. And if 1 second back from him is AZ20 for Team Alpha. So the top three there only, it got mixed up again. Christoph's Heim, one of our individual riders from Germany, went ahead and taken that. And Maxime in second and Thor in third. Christoph took that with a time of 1 minute and 6 seconds. So good job, Christoph, taking segment one. So they have just about 1.5 kilometers to kind of relax and reset before they start segment number 2. So on screen now, Mr. X100, as we've been saying earlier, he needs to have a really good result today. That way he can try to sneak his way up into that third position and bump out Bruce Bird. But as I've been calling him, Mr. Consistency, he is everything consistent. So at the end of tomorrow, it's going to be really interesting to see where him and Bruce kind of land on the overall standing board there. But here we are now, about 600 meters, 500 meters from the start of segment 2. Again, in just another 1 kilometer segment, so it's going to be an all-out sprint fest. Now with our main pack, everybody kind of getting positioned. Michael Kuhnsen on an early attack here off the front. Nope, not enough. Philip Gray's off the front now. Over 500 watts pushing. Got caught up by Bruce Bird. Michael Kuhnsen still there. Mitch Ferry's in that little pack as well. Ross. So now Ross has joined the party up at the front of these 4 guys. But leading him out right now is currently Ross. Followed by Bruce Bird, Philip Graves. So this pack of guys is really pushing it, put a big distance between themselves and the Danish Pavlova team. As you can see, Mr. X100's there, followed by Popovich. They're making an attack as well. Might be an attack just to hang on, which is what they need to do. Mr. X100 and his team really need to hang on to this front group. Even if they are surging for some segment victories, they have to be there so they can be with them at the end. Jason Osborne now on a massive attack over 900 watts. He's going to try to get a segment win. Through the line they go. Mr. X100 now through the line. So far, Jason Osborne is the winner. Looked like a time of 1 minute and 4 seconds, followed by Team NZ Vider. 0.7 seconds just behind Jason Osborne. That's a really close one. And also followed by Ross Fawcett from Team Draft, just 2 seconds back. Really good segment there by Jason Osborne. Caught me off guard. I didn't even see him attacking. I'm usually following pretty good here on my iPad, but he kind of snuck that one up on everybody. So now Mr. X100 has to stay with these guys, stay with this front pack as much as he can. He's right there with Bruce Bird. Falling off a little bit, but he won't let them get too far. And that's good. The pack is really surging hard today, this front group of guys here. You can see on the right side of our screen, this looks like the chase pack with Masur and a few other guys with him here. So they're at kilometer 7.4, while our main pack is at 8.8. So that's quite a significant gap that this main group has put on there. They're going to have their work cut out for them today if they want to reel them back in. Luckily, there's enough guys there. They can all kind of work together and draft off each other, hopefully, and they can start to close in that gap. But right now, it's all about this front group, and we are starting to approach segment number 3 at the 9-kilometer mark. And you can see they're starting to pick up the pace now, getting ready to come to the start. And there we go. Most of the guys are now through the gate for segment number 3. See who starts to put on some attacks, some surges. Who's going to up the pace of the pack? Everybody staying nice and tight so far. No real big moves happening just yet. Everybody staying nice and tidy. Seems like Danish Pavlova team's really trying to up the pace of the overall pack. We kind of saw them do that yesterday. But now we're within the last 300 meters of segment 3. And off the front, here we go. We have Jason Osborne again, over 1,000 watts, 61 kilometers per hour, 14.4 watts per kilo he's pushing right now. Heart rate's in the 160s. He is getting up there in the threshold VA2 area. Coming through the line now. Shortly behind him is Bruce Bird. He put on a really good attack. Same with Pablo Popovich. And the timing sheet says, again, it's Jason Osborne going for his second segment victory. Total time of 1 minute and 11 seconds. And shortly behind him is Bruce Bird, 1 minute and 13, followed by third place UAE clan team member Pablo Popovich. Very good job, Jason. Same with you, Bruce. Awesome efforts from everybody there. Over 1,000 watt attack from Jason Osborne. That's just crazy to me. So it looks like we can start to see another pack maybe kind of breaking out. The main pack is now split into 2. Only by a few seconds, though. They can definitely work together and close the gap, get back up to them. But within that pack there, you have Mr. X100, you have Michael Vink and Mitch Ferry, Philip Graves. So now Mr. X100 and Michael Vink take the lead out to try to close that gap and hang back onto the front group, which is what they need. Mr. X100 cannot let Bruce Bird out of his sight today. He needs to be really watching his data, watching for when he's going. And he just needs to stick with this main group all day today. He cannot really fall. He can't afford to fall off the back if he wants to take that third position away from Bruce Bird. So now we move on to segment number 4, starting at the 12K mark. So just 800 meters out, they can see the start segment there. Hopefully some of the guys are recovered, because when the pack takes off, they need to be able to hang on to have a good overall classification for today's stage. And now we get up to the segment 4 start. As we've seen before, everybody nice and tidy together. We'll see who starts to make the surge breakaway in a few hundred meters. You have Mr. X100 up there in the mix, ready to go. If the pack starts to take off, he will be ready. So far, halfway through segment number 4. Nobody's making any major attacks just yet. The pace is starting to increase a little bit. And here we go in the last 300 meters now. Things are picking up more. Everybody's pushing close to 400 watts. No major attacks yet. Everybody's sticking nice and tight together. I have no predictions on who's going to take this stage win. There we go. 2 late sprints there. Mr. X100 hanging on, crossing the line in 1, 2, 3. Let's have a look at the results for segment number 4. Jason Osborne, 124. He's just taking up the segment wins today. That's segment number 3 for Jason Osborne and Danish Pavlova. Second place from NZ's Mitch Ferry, time of 125. 0.2 seconds back. That's a very close one. And number third place there from the UAE clan team, Mr. X100. Time of 125.1. Congratulations, top 3 guys. It's a very good result for Mr. X100. He needs to stay in this pack right here. He's definitely showing that he can do that now. We're a total of 13.5 kilometers into today's 45-kilometer stage. So he's going to need to relax, recover a bit, but while also staying with this group. So here we are. The guys are going to have a little bit of recovery time before the start of segment 5. Here in just about 800 meters. If I can ask my man Bicker in the broadcast room, was there a change to the segment 4 results? Can we have another look at the segment 4 results? There was a change. Eddie Veal took the victory. Wow, look at that. 8 seconds. And in second place, Juan David Vargas, total time of 122. And in third place for Team Alpha is AZ20. And so those 3 guys knocked Jason Osborne out from that segment 4 victory. He's down in 4th place, which puts Mr. X100 down in 8th place. Congrats to Eddie Veal and Team Draft on their stage or their segment 4 victory. So now the start of segment 5, which is going to be our last 1 kilometer segment for the day. And then we're going to go into the 10 kilometer segments. Looks like someone's trying to pull a breakaway there at the front, trying to divide the group up. Of course, Michael Kuhnsen with William from Danish Pavlova team. Those guys have really been controlling the pace of the pack, I feel, this whole championship, really working well together as a team. And right up there, we have Mr. X100 on screen now as well, hanging in the pack just like he should. And now approaching the start of segment 5 as well as Eddie Veal. He's on an early attack. He's going to try to claim another segment. And same with Vidar here. We're going to have to keep our eyes on these guys. They may try to mix up the end results of segment number 5. But back at the front here, the guys are getting close to the finish line already. You can see it in sight. 480 watts there at one point. Off the front, Ross Fawcett, 620 watts, 48 kilometers per hour, coming through the finish line now for segment number 5. And the whole pack rolls through here as well. So far, the ranking is going to be Ross Fawcett, number 1 spot for segment number 5, at a time of 1:18, followed by Philip Graves, 1:21, and Bruce Bird, 1:22. And fourth would be Mr. X100. So good that Mr. X100 and Bruce Bird are staying in touch like they should be. But of course, we're going to have to wait a little bit on these results. Might have to check back in, see if Eddie Veal or Vidar has stolen any positions from these guys. You can see now they're nice. They're together. A little bit of drafting off each other at some points there. Approaching the 600 watt range at one point. Putting out really good effort right now. Eddie Veal coming through the checkpoint here at segment number 5. Wait for Vidar to roll through as well. And no, the results stay the same. So Ross Fawcett is still our segment 5 winner as of now. I really thought Eddie or Vidar there was going to make a really good late effort and snatch up the win. But no, Ross, you hang on to segment number 5. So now all our 1K segments are done. Segment number 5 was our last one. As we approach segment number 6 now, it's going to be 10 kilometers. And they're going to start to go up in elevation, as you can see on our course map here. As soon as they roll through gate number 6, they're going to start their incline. It's nothing crazy yet, but it's still an incline, and they're definitely going to feel it. After gate number 7 is when the real mountain stage starts, and that's where we need to see Jason in his position, of course, which we likely will, Mr. X100, Bruce Bird, Mitch Ferry. Hopefully we have a really good pack coming through the line, and we can have a really nice sprint finish to the end of stage 6 today. I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break, and we'll catch up with the guys before they start segment 6. So now we're back with the front group with our eyes on Mr. X100. We're just inside 1.5 kilometers to go before we start our segment number 6, the first 10-kilometer segment of the day. He's positioned himself well so far all day. They're only 18.5 kilometers in, 18.7 Ks in to this race, and he's still holding on strong. The pack is starting to surge a little bit, so he's just going to go ahead and catch back up, hang on there. Right behind him is Eddie Veal. So here we are now within 1Ks of the start of segment 6. At the front of this race, we have William from Danish Pavlova. As I said before, he's like been pushing the pace all day, trying to get the pack up there and get his teammates positioned very well for these segments and for the overall stage. He's been a really good team player this whole series so far. But also up there, we also have the UAE Emiratis Clan Team 1 with Pablo Popovic. He's been having a great championship so far as well. The UAE Emiratis team, the Clan Team 1 has been super consistent alongside the Danish Pavlova team. And now we approach the start of segment 6, and we'll start to see how the group's going to react to this first 10K stage of the day. See if they're just going to stick together for midway through, or if someone's going to launch an early attack and do a full-on TT style. But if I was a betting man, I'm going to guess that they're all just going to kind of stick together to the last few kilometers of this segment, and then we'll start to see some real action. Mr. X100 now at the front of this race, pushing 450 watts. He's trying to set the stage. Now, he's not going to let the pack get away from him during this segment 6. He's positioned himself quite well, going on a really nice little attack here with Pablo Popovic. But I think that may have just been an attempt to kind of up the pace of the entire front group here. Let them know that they're there. The other guys can see them now. And now they're on the move again, pushing some good watts there. Just really trying to control this pack. So through the first kilometer of segment 6, everybody's still nice and tidy. Nobody's making any crazy breakaways just yet, but the pack is surging. It is going fast, and it's starting to slow down, then it speeds up. That's going to be interesting to see here midway through this segment, this 10K segment. Maybe we'll have the pack break up into 2 parts again. It's going to be kind of hard to say here. Everybody's looking really strong and fit today. See at our right screen now, we have Eddie and Vidar. They're sticking together. They're trying to work together. They may try to battle it out for the overall segment 6 victory as well. They're not doing any crazy high numbers right now. Looks like they're just going to try to get through this, but we might see some high numbers from them later on, so we'll keep our eyes out. So now the pack's pace is up into the 40 kilometers an hour. We're at 22.4 of the race. We're almost at that halfway point. Well, technically we are at that halfway point now for the race. But the pack is still looking nice together. Everybody's there where they need to be. X100's Mr. Consistency is there in the middle of the pack. You just know he's watching everybody's data and doing everything he can to stick on. Still not seeing any crazy attacks. And of course, we still have the Danish Pavlova team out front, really trying to control the pace of the group here. Seems like behind this group, the whole pack is just kind of split up into little mini packs of 2 to 3 guys, which is really interesting to see on this stage. I wonder if everybody's just getting a little tired from the previous days. These type of stage race events are really hard on you. And you have these two guys, Vitor and Eddie. So yeah, everybody's just kind of split up and broken apart into their respective groups here. But it's nice to see that there's not a lot of lone cyclists on the road. They can all kind of work together, and it's good for the brain too to have other people around you, a little bit more motivation. So segment 5 start now for Christoph. He's putting out a pretty hard effort here. Maybe because he's going uphill, but 600 watts, it looks like he's putting on an attack to try to claim stage 6 here. Or excuse me, stage 5. Massive efforts right now from Christoph. These two guys here battling it out for segment 5, sprinting right alongside each other. Always in that 500 watt range. Thor is off the front on an amazing sprint over 850 watts. He's approaching the checkpoint for segment 5, and we're going to have to take a look at those results again once Christoph comes through the line as well. So here now, Thor goes through the line of segment 5, and here comes Christoph. And we'll have a look at the overall time sheet here and see if anything got changed. And it was Thor who took the time overall for segment 5, 1 minute and 12 seconds. So it's at 2 seconds ahead of Maxime. Nicely done there, Thor. But here we are now back at the front of the race, and we are halfway through segment number 6. So there's now 5K to go for segment number 6. And shortly, we'll start to see a little bit more elevation come into play here on the course. Currently, we're 128 meters above sea level. The speed pack now is about 40 Ks an hour, which is pretty good. But still, no major attacks. Mr. X100 staying where he needs to be. But when the pack starts to surge like this, when it goes fast and then it goes slow and it goes fast, it can really put a toll on you. So it's going to be pretty hard to stay on board here. Speed of the main pack here is starting to pick up ever so slightly. On the right side there, we have Eddie and Vidar still working together. They're now past the halfway point of segment number 6. They're keeping a very good pace, just the two of them here, working together. Don't know if they're really interested in closing the gap to the main group there, or if they're just out kind of segment hunting together today. Now the speed picks up into the 50-kilometer-an-hour range. They are on a slight downhill, so a little decline now. So the pace is actually going to pick up pretty naturally. Nobody's putting out any crazy watts yet. No major attacks going off. I think everybody's just working just to stay with the group here. Just doing a little watt comparison here between Eddie and Vidar and then the front pack. They have been keeping a higher watt average compared to them. So they may be in a really good position at the end here of segment 6. They keep pushing each other really well. Yeah, these guys are working really nicely together. Just past the halfway point there. And we have Bruce Bird on screen here. He's going for an attack. Over 500 watts there. Really up in the pace. Right there with him is Philip Graves, Michael Kuhnsen. Now they've been absorbed by the pack here a little bit. So that was an interesting tactic. They kind of went off the front there, and then maybe they second guessed themselves a little bit. But now the whole pack has been reformed, led out currently by Mr. X100, but everybody's really close, so the lead is going to change a lot. We're just inside the 2-kilometer window to the end of segment 6. And back at the front, Bruce Bird with Willem from Germany. So 1.5 to go. Bruce is off the front, pushing over 500 watts there at one point. He's really gearing up the attack now. William from Danish Pavlova there. Pablo Popovich. Mr. X100 trying to hang on to the main group here. Looks like he'll do just that. He'll reel them back in. That's no problem. He just needs to stay there. He's not really going to go for any segments. He needs to play it safe, I think, today, so he can have a very good overall classification along with Bruce Bird. So now we're in the 1-kilometer window to the end of segment 6. I'm keeping an eye on the data here on the right side of the screen, trying to see who watt per kilo start to spike, who's going to go for a sprint here. I have a feeling they're all looking at the same data I am, and they're all trying to figure out who's going to go, when are they going to go. But I can expect to see an attack pretty soon, probably from Bruce Bird. He's been in great form today so far. And now here we go. The attacks are starting to go. Ross leads out the group now, 780 watts. He's going for it with 300 meters to go to the finish line of segment number 6. It's in his sights now. 800 watts now, 57 kilometers per hour, 14.1 watts per kilo, which is just insane. Judging by this effort here, this is a really good segment for Ross. And now coming through the rest of the pack, led out by Bruce Bird and Michael Kuhnsen. And that is your preliminary result for the end of stage 6, 10-kilometer stage with Ross Fawcett from Team Draft. And in second place is Michael Kuhnsen from Danish Pavlova. In third place, Bruce Bird, followed in fourth place by Mr. X100. And like I said, it's good that these two guys stick together because that's what they really have to do. And I hope we can see a really awesome finish, maybe a little sprint finish between Bruce and Mr. X100 today. Of course, we can't count out these results just yet. We have some more people going to be coming through, specifically this guy, Vitor Mel, and of course, Eddie Veal, who's behind him, not too far back there. They have been putting on a really strong showing here for segment number 6, and they're within 400 meters to the end. They've been working well together this whole segment. With the end in sight now they're going to try to pump it up. No crazy watts happening just yet. I expected a little more power from them, but they have had a higher watt average than the main pack there this whole segment. So we'll take a look at the results now and see if anything has changed. No, it hasn't. Ross Fawcett still holds in the first place, so he's going to take segment 6 as of now. Of course, we have to wait until everybody rolls through, but for now we can call it Ross Fawcett, and all the rest stay the same as well. So now back at the front of the race, segment 6 is completely done. Then we're going to be rolling into segment number 7 at kilometer 33. I'm going to take a little water break here, and I'll join you just before the start of segment number 7. So welcome back, everybody. We are now approaching the start of our last 10K segment, segment number 7, with our main pack here. Mr. X100 currently on screen, doing what he's been needing to do. Just hang on to the pack so far and not let them get too far out of his sight, specifically the one-man Bruce Bird. So now everybody rolling through the line. And we are off and underway with our main pack for segment number 7. And we can see we have a chase pack here who just finished segment number 6. And for my side of things, none of the results have changed. Correct. So yeah, Ross still holds segment 6 victory with now most of the field clear of that segment. Now we have Eddie and Vidar still hanging out, getting ready to start segment number 7 together. These are what I call our segment hunters for the day. They have been really going for it and really working well together so far. So just now, a kilometer in to our last segment of the day. No real action, as usual. It would be kind of weird if there was this early on. But now we're in that latter half of the race. And according to the course map, where we're at now, it's going to be a little slight downhill for a short while. And then we're going to start to get up into those mountains up ahead. You can see around the 38-kilometer mark, they're on a short little downhill in the red section. And then they're going to start to go straight up the mountains. And of course, our climbers are really going to shine. With that being one of Jason Osborne, who's been leading this whole championship so far from start to finish. But it can still be anybody's race. Jason Osborne here on screen currently. He has been, like I've said many, many times before, just world class for our Winter Solstice Championship. He's been putting on the perfect races, even snatching up some segment wins almost effortlessly. And that's what's very impressive about this man is he's a seasoned athlete, used to be an Olympic rower. He's a professional cyclist, basically. He actually may be. I should need to check my facts on this man, but he is a UCI world champion from the year 2020. He knows these games inside and out. So he knows exactly what he has to do today, like the past 5 stages we've had already. So I'm not going to be surprised if we see him cross the line in first place today. So now here we go. The guys are going to make a left-hand turn up into the mountains. And we can start to watch our gradient here on the top right of our screen. Now they're up at 4.5, and they're really going to have to start to work now. Work together, stay together. Mr. X100 on screen currently. He is sticking with the pack where he needs to be. But we've seen him in the earlier stages. When we get into the mountains, he kind of drops back. And this pack is going to do everything they can to try to keep him back there along with Bruce Bird. But what he needs to do is really position himself well, stay with the group, don't overexert himself too soon, and he'll be in good contention to take over the 3rd spot from Bruce. But so far, everybody's sticking together very well over that first little climb before they enter the second half of it here. Mr. X100 looks like he's starting to fall off a little bit. He can definitely regain that. That's no problem. But in order to get some draft power, he's going to need to catch back on there, which he's doing. And that's perfect. So he just needs to stay with these guys, keep going all the way to the end. This is a really, really tough part of our overall stage here. Currently leading out the front group now is Pablo Popovich from UAE Clan Team 1. He's not letting the pack drop him at all. He's actually going to lead them out and kind of help set the pace. He's going to get sucked up now by Michael Kuhnsen and Bruce Bird. Bruce Bird's in a really good position. He's really trying to hang on to his third place overall classification. Mr. X100 falling off ever so slightly. Only a few seconds. It's not too much where he can't make that ground up. They will have a little bit of downhill sections here and there through this end part of our course. And as long as he stays on power, he'll be able to stay with the group and get a good overall result for today. So we're just about 4Ks into this last 10-kilometer segment. And everybody's just trying to find their pace, find their own rhythm, while trying to stay with the pack here. Because the real action's really going to start popping off at the end of this segment when we only have 2 kilometers go to the finish. So Mr. X100 now on screen. Currently 3 seconds back from Philip Graves, who's at the tail end of the front pack there. But he is with the front pack, which is really good for him. So now Mr. X100 really pumping up the watts, trying to get back. He's already knocked a second off that time. He's so close to rejoining that front group. But he needs to put out a big effort to catch the group, but then also to maintain his position within the group, which isn't always hard to do after you're putting out like a sprint effort to trying to catch the pack, then just to try to sit in while they're still pushing pretty hard. But he's so close there. He's within a second now. Within a second of Michael Vink there. He's almost in the pack, getting ever so close. Now he's successfully rejoined the pack. Good job there, Mr. X100. Now you have to stay within this position. Keep Bruce Bird in your sights. Now as they go up the second steep incline here, everybody nicely together, as they should be, pumping out some really good watts. 538 watts from Bruce. Everybody's really, really pushing it up. We're halfway through segment number 7 here. Doing 30 kilometers an hour up these hills is insane. Maximum effort from everybody right now. And now another real steep climb starts. Currently 414 meters above sea level. And this just feels like you're climbing a wall at this point. Everybody doing a great job to hang on. Mr. X100 is doing a great job hanging on the back there. Doesn't matter if he's at the back of this pack, he just needs to stick with the pack. On the right side of our screen, we have Eddie and Vidar, again, working really well together. Like we've seen this whole race. But now we have Mr. Polka Dot in the front of the race. He has the polka dot jerseys for a reason. This man, Michael Kuhnsen from Denmark, knows how to climb. And he's been putting on a climbing clinic the last few stages so far. Looks like Knudsen is just now getting absorbed by the pack, but he's going to try to get himself back up to the front there with Pablo Popovich. Everybody's still staying pretty close together. Yep, Michael Knudsen from Denmark not letting him get away too fast. Regains the lead so far. He's just going to keep pushing. I think he's in a really good spot right now physically, not really overexerting himself. This could be a really good stage victory for Michael if he can do it. Mr. X100 now still sticking with the group, which is great to see. Bruce Bird just up ahead of him a little ways. Just about 3.7 to go, 3.6 to go to the end of segment 7. And now it's Pablo Popovich with Bruce Bird and Michael Knudsen and Michael Vink up there as well, all battling it out to get to the top of this climb. Now they're going to have a little bit of a downhill, very little bit of a downhill, free up the legs ever so slightly before they start to climb back out again. Mr. X100 now on screen, still sticking with the pack, which is really good. He cannot let the pack get too far away this time. He's going to have to work really hard. Interesting to see Ross Fawcett kind of got dropped there by the pack. He's about 300 meters back from the main pack there. He's going to have to work extremely hard if he wants to catch up to them. And same with William from Danish Pavlova. He's put in some great work from the team today. He's really helped control the pace pack. Excuse me, the pack pace. He's put in a great effort today for his team. And same with this man, Philip Graves for Team NZ. So back at the front, 3K to go to the end of segment number 7. Everybody kind of jockeying for position. Jason Osborne's now up in the mix in the very, very front. He's going to start to turn on the power pretty soon. Now they have a short little downhill before they start climbing up again. 663 meters above sea level now they are. And off the front so far, it looks like Bruce Bird's going for a little attack. That was answered very quick by Michael Vink and Michael Knudsen from Denmark. Got to give a heya to Michael, my Scandinavian neighbor. Good job there. Good job, Mr. X100, staying at the front. Just stick with the pack. You don't need to go off the front. So now Mr. X100 rejoins the group, and he just needs to stay put. He doesn't need to get shelled off the back of this group. He just needs to be really close to Bruce. Not let Bruce too out of his sights too much. We're now just under 2 kilometers to go to the end of segment 7. Just under 4Ks to go for the overall stage finish. Philip Graves on screen now, really giving it, really trying to catch back up here. Looks like he's just trying to hang on to the Pavlova guy, William. Philip Graves, ex-pro triathlete, maybe still pro, maybe doing some Ironmans here and there. He knows how to put the power down for sure. He knows how to suffer. Being an Ironman athlete, that's one thing you need to be a professional at, is being comfortable, being uncomfortable. Back at the front, now we have Jason Osborne. I think he's going to try to go for a segment 7 victory here. Everybody moving around for position, doing everything they can to stay together. Mr. X100 now, not letting them get away. The pack keeps doing these surges where they're slowing up a little bit and then they're putting out the power. You really have to watch the data on the right side of the screen. So now just 1 kilometer to go until the end of segment 7. Now everybody's really up in the pace here. 700 meters to go. 791 meters above sea level they are right now. Jason Osborne now really putting on an attack at the front. Over 1,000 watts now. Just inside 400 meters to go. 56 kilometers per hour going uphill. Closely behind Michael Kuhnsen, followed by Pablo Popovich and Bruce Bird. And Michael Vink behind them, and Mr. X100 closely by. But Jason Osborne now, putting 3 seconds on Kuhnsen. He's going to come across the line. We'll go ahead and see the times for everybody else once they come through for this main pack of 6. And there goes Mr. X100, and we can have a look at the results here so far. Yeah, so it's going to be Jason Osborne by almost 3 seconds over teammate Michael Kuhnsen from Denmark. Total time there for Michael is 17:48, and ahead of him, or sorry, just behind him, is Pablo Popovich from the UAE clan team, followed by Bruce Bird, Michael Vink, and Mr. X100. Times are still pretty close together. Of course, Jason had a really massive attack there. Going to try to bridge out a nice gap. We're just inside 2Ks to go, 1.5K to go. And Jason's really going to turn up the heat now and try to claim another stage victory. Right now, he's about 4 seconds ahead of Pablo Popovich. Who's about 3 seconds ahead of Michael Vink and Bruce Bird. Mr. X100 now trying to hang on. He really needs to hang on and close this gap up to Bruce Bird so they can try to finish together. This is now another little short, punchy climb that he's on. Jason Osborne now in the 600, 500 watt range, really turning it on. Six seconds back from him, Pablo Popovich from the UAE clan team. He's trying to close in that gap a little bit. But with 1K to go, that's going to be really hard. So now Mr. X100 now within a kilometer to the finish line. 8 seconds back from Bruce Bird. Started to close that gap up by a second, but then it grew by a second. So he's staying pretty equal to Bruce. Gap's about 7 seconds between them. He really needs to pump it up and try to get a really good result, maybe try to knock Bruce Bird out of that third place. But as it sits right now, it looks like Bruce might hold on to the third place, but it doesn't mean you should give up. At the front of the race, Jason's coming up to the summit end, just 200 meters to go. He's going to go through this bridge and hang a right, where you can see the finish line now. And there you have it again. Jason Osborne taking segment 6, second to last stage, tomorrow being the last. Another amazing performance from him. With second place going to Pablo Popovich. It looks like Pablo Popovich. We'll wait for the results to come in. Yes, we can see them now. Mr. X100 crossing the line. So that's going to be our top 6. And then we have a battle between these two. Philip Graves from Team NZ and William from Germany. They're going to have a nice sprint finish here. If they can keep this to go, they have just 700 meters to go. We'll see who can claim that 7th position. So far, it's the Danish Pavlova rider. But Graves is still there with him. 500 meters to go now. They're going to hang a right and go slightly uphill some more. $400 meters to go now. They can see the bridge. They know they're going to hang a right after that little archway. 700 watts now from Philip Graves. Can he catch him? He has caught him. He's caught William from Danish Pavlova. He's going to come through the arch, hang a right, and he's going to secure that 7th place and secure some good points overall for himself and for Team NZ. So 7th place, Philip Graves, followed in 8th by William. So good job, Jason Osborne, again securing another stage victory and also popped off a couple segment wins today. His overall time for today's stage, 1 hour and 7 minutes, followed by UAE Clan Team 1, Pablo Popovich. 3rd place, Bruce Bird from Team Draft. Danish Pavlova, Michael Kuhnsen, our awesome climber guy as well back there in 4th position, followed by another Danish Pavlova in 5th. And coming through the line now is Ross Fawcett. And there's our top 9 so far. Mr. X100 down in 6th place, just in front of, or just behind Michael Vink from Danish Pavlova. Team NZ, 7th place, Philip Graves. Danish Pavlova, William from Germany. And from Team Draft, Ross Fawcett. Rounding out our top 10 is going to be Mitch Ferry from Team NZ as well. So that was an awesome end of stage 6. So happy for Jason to secure another one under his belt. Tomorrow, our last and final stage of the Winter Solstice Championship for MyWhoosh. And the elevation is going to be 858 meters overall. We are going to have our 7 segments as usual. Little bit of mix up. See, we're going to have segments 1 through 5 are going to be our 1K segments, and then 6 through 7, those are going to be our 2 10K segments. Total distance again at 45 kilometers. It's going to be an interesting race, and I'm going to be looking forward for both the women's finale and the men's finale. So I want to thank you all for watching us again. Stage 7 coming up tomorrow. Do hope you join us, and I hope tomorrow we'll have my sidekick with us, Abdullah. He was actually out commentating a real-life race today, so congratulations to him. But thank you guys again, and we'll see you tomorrow.